Hello everyone and welcome to a cast. This is a replay from the recent Homestory Cup that just recently wrapped up. I very purposely tried to avoid watching most of Homestory Cup in order to cast some of these matches in an ideally spoiler-free format. This broadcast might be a little bit quieter than most and a little bit less hype because unfortunately the windows are open, it's midnight, and the AC is not working. So I can't yell too much for fear of the neighbors complaining. So if this is a little bit more hushed, I apologize, but spawning here to the top left, we have the Blue Zerg player Lambo, one of the rarer to see players in our events, but a really good Zerg player hailing from Germany. The bottom right, coming all the way from Korea, the guy's a bit of a party boy and a bit of a lad. He's really good at StarCraft too. It's stats. Now, this is going down on Kairos Junction, which is, of course, one of the more standard maps in the map pool. Not many gimmicks with things such as Turbo Cruise 84, but kind of a neat thing to see here is the hatchery's been skipped over to the third base out of Lambo. Not wanting to deal with the probe, I guess, harass and shenanigans on the natural base. Skipping on down there is not uncommon on this map, not in the slightest. What's really good for stats in this regard, though, is he knows that Lambo is likely to take his third hatchery here before going for some kind of all-in, as tends to be the case most of the time. This probe's also getting a really great scout, keeping an eye on the gases. He's even messing around with the minerals a little bit of a click battle there. He wants to keep these from mining too easily. But on stats this side of the field, he's also gone for a Nexus, and he's not going to fall behind thanks to his little dedication to the worker on the other side of the map. Neither player, having taken 2 gases, is likely to invest in too much in the early game, but the key difference is Stats knows the gas count of Lambo. Lambo does not yet know what the gas count of Stats looks like. Which I think Lambo's not going to be afraid of fighting against Stats. There's no, oh my god, he's Korean, I can't beat him. I think there is this element, though, of just like you are going to be really worried that a Protoss player in general, though, could have either proxied you or heads up for an all-in. So the Overlord getting a confirmed scout on the Nexus is going to put Lambo at ease here, letting him know that he won't have to invest too much into defense if he is. But the Overlord's also going to see an Adept getting chronoed out and knows that soon he'll have to deal with some headache, although in this case it won't be too much. One of the big downsides to Lambo, though, and this is a big weakness that does leave you exposed to a Protoss player who wants to get aggressive, is this third base over here. Well, Creep doesn't connect you to the main, so while Lings and such could run on over to the base to defend fairly quickly, the Queens cannot. This really splits the defense of a Zerg player, so Creep spread will be of the utmost importance to Lambo, as his bases are not connected due to this one going down so late. But the hatchery going down later is not really a big part of any kind of equation, as it doesn't appear to be that Stats is going for an all-in. The Robo finishes up briefly, though. Actually, we don't see a Twilight Council. So no faster Templar archives. So no, I guess, Templar/Archon harassment that we're so used to seeing. Or Dark Templar, for that matter, which is super annoying. And by the way, I don't know if the AC is being picked up very hard in my ear. I say AC, what I mean to say is fan. My AC is busted, and it's been 30 Celsius. Although, apparently, these poor guys over in Homestory Cup had it far worse than I could have. I know that in France they have record temperatures of like 45 Celsius or something crazy like that. But yeah, sorry guys. Again, if the noises in the background is unacceptable, then I won't do another one of these types of casts for a while, at least until things get fixed. But you know, this is day 5 out of 5, trying to keep the YouTube uploads consistent. And hopefully you guys are appreciating that. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Just even the word butts is good. Let me know you're watching these videos. But some Ling harassment outside of Stats' main base is what Lambo's hoping to do. Unfortunately, with a wall, there's no opening. But what he will be able to do is keep tabs on the Warp Prism. And this is a big deal, because no matter where that Warp Prism goes, no matter what it wants to warp in, Lambo will be on top of it before it even gets a chance to. Back on his side of the field, like I said, Creep spread was going to be of the utmost importance. And we do see Creep tumors moving up to connect to the other bases, but also outwards. For a bit of scouting. Still working all of this off of 1 gas for the time being. He does have a 2nd gas now coming down at his 3rd. Warp Prism seems to have shaken the Lings off for the time being, but not for long. Lambo's already back on top of this thing. A lot of gateways finishing up too. So for Stats, this is frankly, this is looking a little old school, hence the giggle. Immortal Sentry takes me back. But if there's one guy who could try and make this work, it might just be Stats. However, Zerg players nowadays, they got tools to deal with it, you know? You got Roaches, of course, are one thing, lots of Lings, but Ravagers can break force fields. something Zerg never had an option of in the past. And if you've ever thought to yourself, I wonder why Protoss don't do Immortal Sentry all-ins anymore, well, there's probably about half of your answer right there. Having Corrosive Bile changed the game for the matchup here. But while Stats heads across the field, this is fairly dedicated. We'll keep an eye on whether he sends a probe out towards the third. Although right now, while he is banking some money, this does feel more like it's going to be for Warpins rather than necessarily for Nexus. But Lings do get caught out here in the middle. I think Lambo was hoping to hop on top of these sentries. Unfortunately for him, kind of been denied. But he has stopped droning and he has invested purely into army. He's supply capped right now at 98, but with Overlords coming out and more units on the way, we're going to see that repeat itself over and over and over again until things start dying. The few Lings that survived the earlier little run by do make it across the field. They're going to see no third base, which is a big deal. Again, Stats doesn't have to commit to this, but it does look like he wants to. With the warping in some more units, Stalkers accompany this. We got some Zealots for the front line. Force fields are going to be fantastic. There are 4 Ravagers, though. So each of these sentries will and should have their force fields broken given an engagement, meaning that Lambo doesn't have to forcibly lose half of his army. He'll still bleed out a few units that get caught in the force fields in the time it takes the Corrosive Bile to rain down from above, but he should be able to free any of those units, and this becomes a much better defense for the Zerg player. Not to mention, he'll be fighting on creep, which is always a nice advantage to have. You get a bit of extra speed there. But taking engagement out in the open, first Corrosive Bile is a bit of a miss. Kind of a warning shot across the bow. The Lings on the other side of the map confirm still no third base. Lambo not at all being greedy. Not taking a single larva for drone right now. Every single larva's got to go towards army units, and he knows it. Stats looking to maybe transform this from an attack into pressure, as he does get a Forge and a Twilight Council down at home. So he is thinking about upgrades. Getting charged, chronoed out ASAP for these Zealots will make this a much better fight for Stats, because right now this fight doesn't look so great. Corrosive Biles are going to break those force fields. There you go. Moving to reposition around the north side of this one's going to be a little bit difficult for Lambo to handle if he gets caught out from 2 sides, but the fact that Stats isn't splitting... Oh, there he goes. War Prism splits off to the main base. I was going to say, it could be difficult to split this, but no, he's already on top of this. Nice catch in the main base. Ling's already on top of the Immortals. Pops their barriers. Of course, with 6 range on that pickup, it does feel like it's forever away. He does safely save those Immortals, but their barriers are on cooldown, at least for the next few moments. So if Lambo could catch a fight, those Immortals will be weakened up. But we have... +1, we've got charge. Oh, right, that's the caster thing. Hey guys, did you know that +1 weapons on Protoss allow Zealots to 2-shot Zerglings instead of 3 shots? Well, guess what? That's irrelevant sarcastic information you're seeing passed around on Reddit, because charge dealing 8 damage fills in the gap of that +1 upgrade, so it's still, with or without this, would only take 2 shots to kill a Ling. Hey. No, but seriously, jokes aside, it's good that he's getting upgrades. This will help him in the later game. He's got charge on the way too, being chronoed out. And let's not forget with the Templar Archives, it's unlikely we're going to see Storms this game, but we are going to see some Archons. But here's the big drawback for Stats, right? His army supply right now is fantastic. A lot of the time, you see Zerg really overwhelm in terms of numbers, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, they're just mass-producing a lot of units that aren't that great, like Roaches and like Lings. However, the income game has spiked for Lambo considerably with how long it took Stats to take this third base. So while the income has been better, it means he also has way more money, and thus more he can freely lose, opposed to Stats, who, if this fight doesn't go well, there might not be a recovery. Look at these Banelings. I love this. Speed's not going to be done for the fight by the looks of it, although it's very close to finishing. Lings continue to run around the map. And as these Archons position from the bottom side, they will be able to soak up those Banelings ideally. And if the Zealots are held in the back and they don't eat those Banelings, they'll be able to charge forward and take care of the Ravagers. I'm not going to say easily, but relatively easily. You don't want to deal with the Banelings. But man, I love Lambo's investment here. 26 Banelings. It looks silly and it looks dumb, and you got to consider there's Immortals, there's Archons, there's Force Fields to worry about, and yet I think this could work. Coming from multiple hit sides, some Banelings to the south, morphing in 2. He's really looking to sandwich in here on Stats in the middle of the field. Force Fields go down to the south, Force Fields to the north. Those are a lot of Force Fields, and they're pretty good, but he's already pretty much out of juice. A few more Force Fields are left, but the Zealots on the front line, the Immortals get caught, the Banelings roll in, and this is looking like a massacre. Lambo actually going to take the bait here up the ramp, and this is, I don't know where Stats backs away to at this point. Army supply was close to the start of this fight, but it's plummeted since then. And this is not looking good. This is looking game over territory, because what do? You're going to have these Roaches and Ravagers push towards the third base. There's a cannon, there's a couple of Templar. I mean, Stats is on borrowed time. This is a numbers game that even people like Mana, who are the best comeback players I've ever seen, could not handle. And Stats on top of that, talented Korean, GG's. Lambo is going to end up taking the game. And yeah, GG. Thanks for watching.